The sea ice surrounding Antarctica is well below any previous recorded winter level. That's what's shown by satellite data, and it's a worrying new benchmark for a region that once seemed resistant to global warming. Have a look at this map. So this image shows the typical extent of sea ice at this time of year, specifically on the 14th of September. So that's a yellow dotted line, but the actual extent of ice is much less than the median, and as we head into the Antarctic summer, much of the existing ice will continue to melt. Let's get more on this and go live now to Mike Childs, who's head of policy science and research at Friends of the Earth. Thanks so much for joining us, Mike. So what does that regression of sea ice tell us about global climate shifts, where it tells us that climate change is happening faster than we thought? We're seeing these kind of alarm bells going off around the world. We've got the sea ice, as you say, in Antarctica. We've got Canadian wildfires we've seen all through the summer, extreme rain, perhaps connected to the dreadful situation in Libya. We saw much of Europe under record heating heatwave this summer. I mean, this is just another wake-up call to governments to say we really need to start taking this issue seriously. We really need to stop pouring oil on the fire of climate change by giving the go-ahead to new oil and gas licenses or failing to curb emissions. Because as the sea ice goes in, as we see these extremes around the world, we're going to get more and more dangerous weather events around the world, harming more people and harming our economies and food production. And why is climate change happening fast than we thought? Climate change modeling is incredibly complex. You can imagine how complex the weather system is around the world, and inherently conservative. So when scientists have been saying over the last decades that climate change is happening, we're moving into dangerous territory, we need to take action, they've been erring on the conservative side of what might happen. And in reality, things are happening faster on the ground. What that means, of course, is politicians need to take action a lot faster than they are. But here in the UK, we're not the government's giving go ahead to more oil and gas licenses. We're not insulating our homes, which means that we're pouring out excess pollution, as well as people freezing in their homes. And during this energy crisis, there's so much more we could be doing to reduce carbon emissions, making quality of life better, and trying to stop this climate change getting worse and worse and worse. And if we go back to the shrinking of the sea ice, people watching at home will have seen the image that we showed of a map indicating what the median level should be, and you can see it again now. If you're watching at home, what does that mean for the wider ecosystem and for native species there? Well, the polar regions, both in the South Antarctica and Arctic and North, are giant refrigerators for the planet, so they help keep the planet cooler than it would otherwise be. So those shrinking levels of ice help warm up the planet. But of course, as you say, Alexa, there's lots of species that also depend on that sea ice and a stable environment. So certainly for some of the penguins who say in Antarctica, those can be more and more worrying. We're going to see much more challenging environment for them to thrive in, and we could lose some species of those. And then in the North and in the Arctic, we can see the challenges face the wildlife there. So wildlife will be suffering because of this climate change, both in those locations but around the world, because this is extreme weather that's battering the planet. It's not only harming humans and harming our economies and harming our food production. Of course, it's having a devastating impact on wildlife as well, and we really need to start see politicians around the world, including here in the UK, taking this much more seriously. A really important international climate talks coming up later this year. The UK government is way off track of meeting its promise that it's made internationally. It's got to